Today we've got tons of abandoned stuff, abandoned railways, abandoned mine shafts, and of course, lots of canal. Today we're going to start the video at the fantastic Hollingwood Hub. This is on the Chesterfield Canal in a section that's been restored, but we're going to come back here towards the end of the video. This video is another video with this document, and this is the master plan that the Chesterfield Canal Trust have recently released, and it's incredible. It's revolutionary on canal restoration. It gives them the opportunity to plan loads of restoration and get funding and all sorts with a combined document which covers the whole canal that needs to be restored. It really is worth looking at. So we're walking this way first, but we're actually going to come back and go in and up behind us. The Staveley works site was to our left here and behind us and in front of us and everything on this side really. It was vast and it was full of railways. It had coal mining there, it had iron ore industries there, it had chemical plants, and those didn't close till 2012. So it's got quite a rich history of industrial use here. And this bit of canal here is a little bit different, and as you can see the canal curves down here, but we have this section sticking out here, and this was the original line of the canal, and we'll jump to the other side in a minute where it goes through. But the plan is, in this huge document, is for this to be a marina. And it's only a small marina, but it offers all the facilities needed for boaters and is very important to this part of the regeneration of this area. Waterside living is amazing for your mental health and for various other things. As you've probably seen already, this is full of walkers and runners and everything kind of coming up and down there from the centre of Chesterfield out to Staveley, Renishaw and Kilmarshall behind us. There's already a lot of planned development on this site. The idea of this master plan is to complement that and bring more canal side living into it. Behind us here is where we just were, right down the bottom there. This actual part here is planned to be a local centre with shops and stuff on, and then the marina is going to be just up here on the right. So this marina follows the line of what would have been the canal and sits in a very lost basin. Now if you look at these maps, I've got one starting here from 1882, and you can see the canal. It runs up into the works and around the works, and the works is built largely around it. If you jump through to 1899, you can see the canal's gone, and they sent it to the bottom, and if you look where the railway line runs across the bottom, that is where the canal is just above there. So the canal would have come through roughly where I am now somewhere, which has obviously long been built on, and the marina sits in behind those trees there. As you can see, and as you're going to see as we go through a lot of this video, most of this area is industrial wasteland, and it has been reclaimed by nature, but it's full of concrete, it's full of probably bad material that isn't good for nature. So redeveloping this brownfield site over fields is definitely much more preferable. So the site is completely demolished, it's completely abandoned, but you can access it, there are paths into it, so I'm not breaking any laws by walking here today. There are points in there where I know that I can find where the canal was. So it'd be good to kind of have a look at that and see what other sort of industrial archaeology we can find while we're in there. You have got this though, this is now a business centre, and you can see the clock tower on that. This is the original headquarters for the works. It's quite a lovely brick built building. So Staveley does suffer a bit from traffic like a lot of towns do, and there is a plan for a bypass as part of this, and the roundabout will be about here for it, so where this junction is now, which is right by the side of the clock tower there. As you can see, the site is open up here. I just want to walk a bit further up and see some of the railway stuff that's still existing. Got the old railway line embankment here, look, and just here was where there was a number of bridges. Just up ahead of us is the River Rother, and there's a little walk-in through there that takes you down through past kind of the old railway infrastructure. If you look in the overgrowth just here, you can actually see some old abandoned lines. There's several of them here which are kind of slowly disappearing under the green. And right there we have this little tower. I think that's an old signal or something like that. It's pretty cool. There's lots of old railway dotted about in here. It's just finding it because it's quite overgrown these days. It really doesn't take nature long to recover and grow quickly, and it's all of this sort of stuff. It's all the same as canals, it's fast growing species and they just dominate the area. There's a better look at the tracks there actually. You can see them just through that gap, just there. There's a tree growing right through the middle of the tracks right there. So how cool is this emerging out of the woods? It looks like part of a footbridge. So you've got some steps coming down, you've got a tower on that side, and like another bit here where you would have had more steps coming down. I wonder if the other side is hidden away in those woods somewhere. Oh, it's on the right hand side. There we go, look. So the bridge would have come across from the side with more steps coming down that side. So if you look at the maps here, there is a junction here that comes and then curves around the side of the works, and that's what that bridge would have been for. It would have took the foot traffic for people trying to access the works. Well, it looks like work has started because the site is now closed off, and they've got barriers on either side, as well as something across, strap banding or something going across to really stop you from coming through. But this was railway coming across here, but it's got a new deck put on it and stuff like that. It's one of these girder bridges that you don't see that often anymore, but it does sit above a more traditional looking arch bridge, which is down here. I expect that bridge was put over the top of that old brick bridge because it became structurally unsound, so they could literally use the supports from either side of the bridge to run that across and actually not put any weight on the bridge arches themselves. So I'm in the works now. You can see the site fence. That bridge we would have been on is just over there towards that sort of slightly taller tree there, and there's like a brick built platform going all the way across there, which is where the railway line would have ran. So we're on the line of the old canal now, and you can see that slightly lighter red brick there. That was, you could see that on the other side as well. So I'm not too sure what else exists here. I'm going to have a little deeper look, but I'm going to head in that direction wish me luck, and try and find the corner and a little wharf that was up here as well. We've got something here, look, you can see old rails all in the floor here and there. I don't think that was the railway, I think that was probably equipment, so we could be just off the railway track. Again, we have what looks like a stone footpath coming up through, and in the floor we've got more steel, and this is a big concrete base, so I imagine we're inside a factory right now. We have more rails over here. So maybe the station was somewhere close. It may have just been a goods yard, to be honest with you. My railway history is nowhere near as good as my canal history. But that's definite tracks coming through here. Again, it could have been used for moving machinery and equipment, because you've got kind of a wall across there, as well as sort of more rails in there. And again, this is another massive concrete pad with, again, some more rails over here. So I think we're inside a big foundry or factory or something here, and this was used to move everything across. So somewhere around here, the canal would have made like a sharp left turn, as you can see on this map. This, as I say, is all gone, but they have got this site compound roughly where that's going. I'm not sure what works are going on here. I'm not local to this, so it's all a bit of an explore for me, but the canal would have turned across here, where we can then find where a canal wharf once was. So it's amazing how quickly nature takes over. You know, it wasn't that long ago parts of the site were abandoned, and it's already full of bushes and trees and all sorts. The only problem is with it here, it's basically growing in the cracks of the concrete. So it's okay for bird species to some degree, but it's not great for a lot of other stuff. There's nowhere really to burrow in here, and a lot of creatures struggle to survive in here. And that affects the whole ecosystem, because all the little things that burrow tend to be food for something, or they need to eat worms or something like that. So you can't really have a sustainable ecosystem without a good sort of mud base to it. That wharf would have been about here somewhere as well. So this would have been used in the early days for obviously unloading goods that came down the canal, and that would have been replaced then with the railway. This was then all abandoned in the 1890s and taken a new route through, which we'll go visit in a minute. And then this is pretty cool. Just here we've got what looks like a junction that you can see the rails slowly separating. This looks like it once moved something really heavy, and you can see you've got lots and lots of different rails all going together. This definitely wasn't for movement of wagons or anything. I expect they had a massive platform across here, which they used to then slide everything across. You see it quite a lot in railway works and stuff. There's a steam museum near me, and they've got loads of stuff like that. Look at this, behind this fence here is an old shaft. You can hear the water running in the bottom of it. Look at that. I'm not sure why this hasn't kind of been filled over, but it's quite cool to see. It is slowly collapsing in on both sides here. So this was right on the edge of the work, so you can see it on this map. Amazing. So this 700 home development will regenerate this 100-acre site. It's that big. I've been trying to find the station in here. On the drone footage, it looks like a platform. It looks like a platform edge. I have no idea if it exists at all, but I have looked and looked and looked and tried to follow on maps and all sorts to find it, but it is huge here. It really is. The site is expected to create a couple of hundred jobs. It's one of the biggest regeneration efforts in the Chesterfield area, and like I said, it's great to see it being built on brownfield sites. I mean, this is to nature not really worth a lot anyway, so much better than fields and woodlands and all the other places developers love to build on. So here we go. This is better. Back to a nice tranquil canal behind us. And this was Chesterfield behind us, which I've done lots on, and ahead of us is a place called Hollingwood Hub, and that's an area that's been kind of redeveloped. Now behind us there you can see where the canal curves around. That was originally where it went that way across to the works, so we've just kind of been on my left hand side here. This was in the 1890s that it was changed. I believe it was 1892 it was built, and it was by late 1890s that all of that sort of stuff had gone canal-wise. That allowed the expansion of the works into what was, like I say, it was insane, it was huge, and left this new cut which runs down through here. So this is actually railway era works rather than sort of canal era. So there's quite a bit of canal here. There's about 3 miles behind us coming from Chesterfield, although that's slightly debatable because of like the river bits and going down into the basin. So really it's a little bit more than that, but it does need work. And then ahead of us is towards the Staveley Basin and all the bits going on there, and that's about 2 miles ahead of us. So just down we've got some more old abandoned railways across here, look, and this is where they run Madeline from. It's one of their trip boats which they've run it down to Staveley and the basin down there recently with Wobbly Runner on board. It was quite a good video, so pop over to his channel and have a look. He is, if you love railway stuff, he's really good, so pop over and see him. He also covers the Chesterfield Canal really well. There's loads of videos for them. But this is Hollingwood Hub just up ahead. So the hub itself is pretty cool. You've got the old railway era lock building there. This lock wasn't here. Then you've got the hub there, and this was built in 2011, well, opened in 2011. The actual house was abandoned in 1967. So it was in a pretty poor state when the trust took it over. They managed to get a shared prosperity fund of £385,000 to do the work, and this includes meeting spaces, Katie's coffee shop, the information centre, and also the headquarters of the Chesterfield Canal Trust. We don't always agree with development on canals. I am a fan of it in places because I think it brings a lot of people to the canal, much like this visitor centre does. But I think we can all agree that massive works, although pretty cool, needs to be redeveloped. It has no value to anybody, and it's a brownfield site full of concrete which would make much better housing than any local fields. Keep an eye out for my future videos on this massive document they produced. There's going to be a few more, and have a great day.